Welcome back to the channel, good friends. I'm Brian from Apex Auction Car Reconditioning. Today we're going to continue the best of or top 5 when it comes to detailing products and tools. And I've been getting a ton of excellent recommendations as to which categories to cover. Today we're going to cover polishers, and there are many subcategories, and we will cover them, such as breaking it down into separate different types of polishers and what they can do and how they perform. We could do rotary polishers and then dual action polishers, orbital, forced rotation. We'll cover all of that. Mini polishers, polisher attachments. But today I just want to start it off with the top 5 polishers that I need in my arsenal that covers the gamut, the whole array of polishers available out there, the top 5 that I need at my shop, and I have them here to my left on this table, and I'm going to go over them one by one with you starting now. All right, getting this underway. I've used just about every polisher out there. Some of the polishers on Amazon, I never bothered, but I've even tried some of the cheaper, junky, belt-driven polishers. Expensive to cheap and anything in between. I have a ton of hours behind a polisher. I don't know how many thousands of corrections by now, but these here are the polishers that I absolutely need in my setting and my shop. This may be completely different than your opinion and what you need for your environment and your customers, but for me, I need these, and I thought I would share this with you just to get the ball rolling on polishers. Lots of topics to cover when it comes to polishers. Number 5 for me is going to be a flex polisher. Now, on this table of the polishers I need are quite economical to really expensive and extravagant. This is on the expensive end. This is a Flex XCE 8125 polisher. This is a force-driven polisher or gear-driven polisher, meaning this thing will oscillate and rotate at the same time forcefully. So if you put it down on a panel and you push down on it, it will not stall while you have the trigger or the power button pulled in. This is a brushless motor, cordless obviously. It will come in a kit for about $659, which is just crazy. And you can also get these, just the polisher alone without the battery, for 450 some bucks. So this is a very, very pricey machine made in Germany. And this thing I would use for boats, RVs, and trash paint where I need the power. And I will either pick this one or the rotary polisher, but this is number 5 for me. And there are many available out there that are force-driven. Some you can pick up even locally if you want to try one before you get into buying the Cadillac of these types of polishers. Harbor Freight has the Hercules force-driven or gear-driven polisher. So if you want to take one for a ride before you get into it, I would give one of these a try first on the cheap end, or maybe borrow it from a friend. And they may be a little bit hard to control because of the power behind the gear-driven polisher. It takes a little bit to get used to. So again, before diving deep into these and getting a really expensive one, I would borrow one from a friend or try a cheap one from Harbor Freight first. All right, let's move on to number 4 for me. It's a dynamic polisher, and it has many uses in my arsenal. Number 4 for me is going to be another European made polisher. This is the Rupes LHR75 pneumatic polisher. This needs to be driven by an air compressor that's large enough that you can continuously run this. So a 30, 60 gallon would work perfectly fine. And what makes this so useful and versatile for me is I can switch this over from a polisher to a sander. This has a massive 15 millimeter throw oscillation. What type of polisher is this? This is a dual action polisher. So the inertia will get the backing plate to spin, but it's not force driven or gear driven. So if you press down hard enough, you can get it to stall. So that's the rotation. This also oscillates, and that's in a 15 millimeter orbit. So hence dual action polisher. And you can also, again, make this a sander as well. This is very, very powerful. It's a powerful tool. You can get, Rupes has 4-inch pads for this polisher. You can get larger backing plate, and you can also attach 4-inch pads. You're perfectly fine attaching a 3-inch pad. That's exactly what backing plate you have on here is perfect for a 3-inch pad. And you can also perfectly fit, if you're going to switch it over for wet sanding use, the 3-inch sand discs on here as well. This thing here for me fits in tight areas. The only thing you have to watch out for is if you're going up against trim, because this has such a large throw, it will whip and throw around that pad and backing plate. And if you come up close and up against something that is a very delicate material or piece of trim, you may damage it. So you need, when you're using this, you may want to tape up trim pieces for sure. A very dynamic, powerful, and useful tool that I can incorporate into many things during the day and get my money's worth out of it. Speaking of money, this bad boy here goes for around $325. You can find these on Amazon. The only problem is if you don't have an air compressor, then you have to invest into air compressors, hoses. I like to hook up filters so it draws moisture out of the lines. And when it comes to maintenance, just when I'm done using it, 2 to 3 drops of a pneumatic tool oil down in here to keep it lubricated and maintained, and you're ready to go the next time you pick it up. Nice carbon fiber trigger on there. The trigger is on the top with a lock, and the lock pops right up so you can't press this down accidentally and start the machine, and it has a speed dial. So this is, in my opinion, Rupes' absolute best polisher in their lineup. Their electric corded and cordless polishers, 15 millimeter throw, 21 millimeter throw, I would pick them up last. For the price, they are not even close to being worth it for me. If you're going to get something expensive, I would recommend a flex polisher. Let's move on to number 3, and that is going to be a ShineMate polisher. This polisher here happens to be the EB351 515. 515 stands for the orbit. There's a 512, there's a 515, and then there's a 521. And the orbit is that throw, the throw back and forth. This is a dual action polisher, so you'll have the rotation and you'll have the oscillation or the throw. And this is a 15 millimeter throw. So this fits in perfectly right in the middle of all my polishers. Don't mistake this with Max Shine. When I first started using Max Shine, everything was fine, and then a couple of years later, it's almost like they threw out or disappeared their quality control section of the company for some reason. And then it seemed like every other polisher was an inconsistent make and quality of the polishers. Some lasted, some didn't, and I stopped using them. Switched over to ShineMate amongst the Asian polishers, and these things, I've never had a ShineMate that failed me. This is a couple years old and it must have just under 1,000 corrections on it by now, and it's going strong, and the battery is still going strong with it. I have not had to replace. Now, it is getting shorter and shorter work time, but I'm still comfortable with it. I have 2 of them that I could swap out, and I'm not walking over to the shelf where I have all my chargers every 20, 30 minutes like some of the other polishers that I can talk about. So yeah, the ShineMate polisher. Now, this thing is this is a little bit more than what it looks like. It's a brushless motor, and I have to refer to my phone for notes here as I can't remember everything with all of these polishers. It has the premium core chip in it. So what that does is that will keep your speed about the same under whatever load you put it under. So if you're at the 3rd speed setting, guys, you put it at the 3rd speed setting and you start to polish and you put pressure down on it to really go after a spot, which I would advise against because you're spiking temperatures, but the chip kicks in and it makes the motor pick up a little bit, so it keeps that same speed under load, and then when you leave the pressure up on that, if it makes sense, it will dial it back a little bit. And I know the flex polishers have something like that as well, and their chip shuts the polisher down if it starts to overheat. So there's a lot more to these polishers on the inside than you would think, and that's why they really get kind of pricey. Talking about price, you're looking at about $359 for a kit with the battery and the charger for the 15. And don't forget, you know, the 12 is an entry level. Looks just like this, but it's got a smaller throw. Entry level, it won't get you into trouble when you're doing corrections on peaks and body lines. And then if you really want to get at it and you're working on large panels, you're working on boats and RVs, grab that 21 millimeter as well. They also have a 3-inch polisher that looks just like this, so you don't have to swap out backing plates. You could just you know, the batteries are interchangeable with that, and I highly recommend a Max Shine polisher if you are intermediate, just starting out, wanting to expand your correction services, and maybe you want to pick up multiple polishers because you have a team. These won't break the bank and they will last forever. Just maintain them, put some grease in these. You take off the backing plate, remove the counterbalance, and remove the gears. You'll be able to pop open the gear section of the polisher and change out that garbage watery grease that they put in there. They don't even put enough in there from factory. Get some Wolf Heads red bearing grease, high temperature lithium, water shedding, and get it in there. Pack it, don't pack it too tight, but pack it a little bit deeper than the way they had it, and your polisher will run cooler, smoother, quieter, and if you keep maintaining it, forever. All right, we're at number 2 already, and number 2 for me is going to be the DIY polisher. This is unique because of the way that they have the battery set on the tool, which makes it, you know, a little bit more balanced and takes the battery away from this end, which kind of is awkward depending on, you know, what surfaces you're working on. It's unique. Now, this is a tough polisher. This is what I call my Frankenstein. I had dropped this thing off of the back of a lifted pickup and it broke in half. That was my fault, uncalled for. And I crudely put this thing back together with some plastic and some screws. I know how much clearance I have on the inside of the casing, so that was no big problem. I had to get it back together quickly because I needed to finish the job. The customer doesn't give a shit if you break a tool. They just want their car done on time. So I got it back together, and that was probably 170 corrections ago, and this thing it didn't skip a beat. It's still working, and it doesn't care that its casing is cracked. You can replace that at any time. I kind of like the Frankenstein look, so I'm just going to keep it this way. It hasn't budged, and it's in place. Now, another thing that makes this unique, guys, this has a 25 millimeter throw. 25 mil throw is it makes it a powerful tool. Also maybe dangerous for the entry-level polisher because that's a lot of power and a lot of throw going back and forth. So this is a dual action. It rotates freely, but it also oscillates with that huge, massive throw. Maybe not something if you're just learning to polish, but definitely if you are seasoned, if you have a team of polishers, you have some employers that are looking for polishers. This one here goes for, excuse me, I have to rely on notes for some of this. I can't remember everything. This kit with the battery, $379. Now, it isn't all ponies and roses with this polisher because the battery absolutely sucks. Get a third or a fourth one. After a little while, I can only get 20, 30 minutes of work time out of these, and I was constantly walking to the charger to swap them out. But I was told, and I haven't tried it yet, Makita batteries fit the pattern that this has, so it'll slide right on and give you some quality. But the polisher itself, I absolutely love it, and I can't be without it. We're always grabbing it. My employees are always grabbing for it, and this is my number 2. And it would be my number 1 if I didn't need a rotary polisher, so that may give up what's going to be number 1, didn't I? Just give that up. All right, so obviously my number one polisher is going to be, well, any rotary polisher. It doesn't matter to me which one. This one here cost me $39 years ago and it still works perfectly. This is a Chicago Electric rotary polisher I picked up from Harbor Freight, and it has outpaced some of the other ones I paid hundreds of dollars for. This has the electronic interface, means when you plug this in, flip the switch, you'll see the power button, it'll go to 0. And then you hit these dials for the speed button, and the only problem with this, you can't feather it, but I'm not worried about feathering it. When you get seasoned behind a rotary, the rotary polisher is going to be the best cut and the best finished. You know, no matter what people say. A lot of people like to sound important, saying it cuts or it finishes better, blah, 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 blah. This thing cuts and finishes better than any other polisher if you are seasoned and have enough time behind the polisher. And I guess that would go for a lot of other polishers, but this one will cut the quickest and it will finish the best. It'll cut the quickest when you have, well, this bad boy's already attached to it. One of my favorite pads I mentioned in another video, a Lake Country hybrid wool pad. With this attached to a rotary, this is a dangerously quick and effective tool, and for only $39. Yeah, sure, there are other rotaries out there you could pay $300–400 for, but there's no need. Why? This damn thing only rotates. And if it only rotates and makes one motion, you don't need to go out and spend hundreds and hundreds of dollars on a machine that does the same thing as this for $39 and has outlasted some of those that cost hundreds. A rotary polisher is something you need to learn and add to your arsenal. If you want to do yourself a favor, grab some panels from a body shop, guys, set them up on some horses from Home Depot, get one of these and practice. You'll learn how to make it work smoothly for you without it skipping and jumping around. And in many videos, you can go back to those and revert to those. I show you how to do that. And when it does start to hop around and jump on you, what to do to straighten that out and make it a nice, smooth ride across the panel. There is nothing more gratifying than cutting and finishing with a rotary polisher. And if you don't believe me, those rotary users down in the comments section, go ahead, let them know. Let them know about that rotary polisher. This is number one for me, and that will wrap up the polisher video. This is the first polisher video, because I'm going to break them down into categories. I'm going to do rotary polishers 1 through 5. I'm going to do 21 millimeter throw, 15 entry level. I'm going to do an entry level polisher. We'll do force rotation. We'll do dual action polisher. I want to cover mini polishers as well. I also want to cover polishers you can attach to the rotary polisher as an extension and make it a mini polisher and all of the attachments that come with. If you have any questions, don't hesitate. This has been Brian from Apex Auction Car Reconditioning. I'll catch you in the next video.